Most men think that waiting quietly will help save their marriage, waiting for her to calm down, waiting for tension to pass, waiting for a sign from her that it's finally safe to act. But what nobody tells you is that waiting is one of the most common ways men quietly disappear from their own relationship, and by the time they realize what's happening, she's already emotionally gone. So in this video, I'm going to break down what waiting actually looks like to her, the real cost of inaction, and what you can start doing instead so you're not left wondering why you waited so long to lead when it still mattered. When I say waiting, I'm not talking about laziness or not caring. Waiting can look like many forms, but when you're waiting with the intention of your relationship getting better, it's obviously because you're deeply invested in turning things around. So in that sense, waiting can look like holding back because you don't want to upset her, or letting things go if your boundaries are crossed because now is not the time, meaning you don't want to risk upsetting her. Maybe you're telling yourself you will step up once things feel safer, or you're giving her space but with no actual direction behind it. And usually the story in your head is, look, if I just give it time and don't ruffle any feathers, things are going to stabilize. But the only way a relationship will stabilize, because it's not going to happen on its own, is when someone else brings clarity and direction. If you're waiting because you want her to process things or you just don't want to risk upsetting her, I get that it feels like a smart move based on what I can only presume has been a lot of tension or uncertainty recently in your relationship. But over time, taking this approach, it sends a very specific signal. It says, I don't know what to do, so I'm just not going to do anything. And if we can be honest, I know I've been there. It's almost like this last gasp of hope that I really don't know what to do anyway, so if I don't do anything, maybe things will just settle down and heal themselves. Like, if I'm patient enough, my relationship maybe will just pull a Wolverine and heal. Is this resonating with you? Like, have you ever felt like that? Let me know by hitting the like button or commenting below. But something I had to learn the hard way is that waiting is not the same as patience. There's a subtle difference between the two. The idea of patience is that, look, I know where I'm going and I can tolerate discomfort while I'm getting to where I want to go. But when you're waiting, it's essentially saying, I'm hoping something changes so I don't have to act. It's just stalling. And the danger of stalling is that emotional distance is going to grow quietly. At the very core, what you have to understand is that your wife isn't just reacting to what you say or do, but who you are being consistently. When you wait, as I've outlined, she feels the lack of direction and can sense that uncertainty in you, which causes the emotional experience in her to start drifting. Even if she can't articulate it, something inside her registers that nothing is really moving in a direction that captures her attraction and emotions back in your favor. And over time, that quietly creates resentment because nothing is changing day after day. This is why men are blindsided by statements like, I've been unhappy for a very long time. Because from your perspective, nothing terrible was happening in the relationship, but from hers, nothing solid was forming. This can get very confusing because as a man, you're often told to give her space or let things cool off. And yes, sometimes space is appropriate, but what they don't explain to you properly is that space without leadership doesn't feel like safety on her end, and it does not do anything to help you reconnect. If space or time isn't given in the proper manner, it can feel like emotional absence to her. Giving time without direction doesn't heal a marriage. It allows narratives to harden because while you're waiting, she's often drawing conclusions and making internal decisions. By the time she voices these internal decisions out loud to you, it feels very sudden, but it's been building internally for months or years, bringing me back to the point I made earlier where most men get blindsided that she's been emotionally detached for such a long period of time. During that long period, when you understandably believe that nothing terrible was happening and it was just maybe a normal kind of like happens in all marriage type phase, the choice of waiting is seductive because it truly feels like it's the least risky option. You're not chasing or trying to force conversations to solve a problem that you don't believe exists. So in that sense, you can't be making things worse, right? But the reality is waiting actually protects you from discomfort, not the relationship. It keeps you from taking emotional ownership and setting a new standard in the relationship. And most importantly, acting without guarantees. Leadership without guarantees is exactly what most marriages need to turn them around and get things back on track when they're struggling. This is where a lot of men get confused because if they are doing the alternative to waiting, which is their version of leadership, They think it entails pushing harder and getting her to talk more and trying to force clarity out of her. That's not leadership either. And real impactful leadership on your relationship starts internally with you. You have to decide who you're going to be regardless of her reaction and change patterns without demanding immediate results from her. Honestly, if someone would have told me this a decade ago before I went through enough heartbreak to basically force me to start making changes, I wouldn't have believed them and probably would have brushed all the advice off because I would forever tie whatever I was trying to do to save my relationships to the result I was getting mood-wise and action-wise from her. I'm telling you today, don't brush this off. You can no longer pause your growth and direction based on her emotional weather. There's a big cost to waiting that is rarely acknowledged, which is when you wait long enough, you stop trusting yourself. Everything going on in your relationship starts to compound against your identity when you start to second guess when to speak and act, and you really don't know what to do because things seem like they abruptly got turned upside down. You become very reactive and stop trusting yourself. And it can quickly make you feel invisible and that you can do no right. But if you understand how to lead properly and take grounded actions, it's going to help you restore the proper momentum towards reconnection. This is because taking grounded action as a leader in the relationship would mean changing your energy, which will help change the relationship dynamics and ultimately have her experience with you feel differently in a very positive way. Taking this action and leading consistently is what rebuilds trust and attraction. But I want to make sure that you understand that taking action doesn't mean confronting her and forcing conversations and then laying down ultimatums with her. Taking action means you have to learn how to be that leader in the relationship that will really engage her emotions for you in a positive way so that reconciliation is even possible. If you've been waiting and hoping that the timing would feel right, nothing changes until someone moves the relationship forward. That is your job as the masculine leader. And if that someone isn't you, the relationship is going to keep drifting to a point where you will not be able to recover it. If you want a clear framework for how to take grounded action without blowing things up, I invite you to go watch my free relationship masterclass because in it, I walk you through the step-by-step process that changed my life and that will give you all the tools to be the leader your relationship needs. This is the only way to truly build that connection and attraction from her again, one that is sustainable and gives you the happy relationship you've been wanting. So click the link in the description below to watch that free masterclass today. If this video helped, at the very least, wake you up to see that yes, you can actually make a big difference on your life and relationship by no longer waiting for permission to take action, give the like button a tap and subscribe to the channel as well. I'll see you in the next episode.